Okay.
What made you choose to go into this field?
Well out there. Sorry.
Oh, and we'll go through some of the other questions another time. I'll pop them over to you anyway, and then as we go through it. But generally, we kind of freestyle and we kind of go from there. So,
Okay.
but then it depends on what you say. We might just.
The Instagram one's not live for some reason.
Yeah, we've just gone live literally just now.
Because I was looking for an alert.
Hold on a sec.
Lovely. So we've just gone. Oh, hey DJ Proclaimer, good to see you. So we've just gone live on Two Love Collective. Hi Facebook, hello YouTube. It's good to have you guys joining us tonight. We are just going through a few last minute bits and bobs, making sure everything's all set. We are going to need you guys to interact with us, to tell us if you can hear us okay. Lovely, our special guest has already joined us on Instagram and we can see her waving to us. We're going to wave back to her. And
Awesome.
we're going to start our conversation very shortly. And I know that for some of you, we've already had messages saying, oh my gosh, I really want to tune in tonight, but I've got something on. Don't you worry about it. You can catch up. You can watch the replay on YouTube. And as many of you know, you can catch it on Facebook as well. Yeah. Just go to Two Love Collective. And whilst you're there, hit the bell icon, subscribe, like, share, general housekeeping. Hey, Kayon, good to see you, honey. Lovely to see that we've got a few heads on board. It is going to be an amazing night tonight.
It is. Super excited, guys.
Really excited.
Super excited.
And it's the first Tuesday of the year. Can you
Come on, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Hope you guys didn't swim or crawl into 2021, but you leaped in.
Yes.
Excited for an incredible year ahead.
That's right. That's right.
Because it's going to be an amazing year, guys. Literally. Don't watch what's going on around. Don't watch what's happening outside of your houses.
No worries, DJ.
Just focus on what God is doing in this season.
Yeah, definitely. And even as you say it, there's so many changes happening. I think every day you're listening to the news and something else is popping up or something else is going on. And you're kind of like, where are we at? How are we even getting to grips with what's really taking place? Are we back in a lockdown? Is it going to feel like how it felt in March?
Indeed.
But I know that the peace that we can have in this season is only from God's comfort, and it's only from that encouragement that, okay, every storm you said that you're going to be with us.
Come on.
We will continue to weather this one. We will continue to take each day as it comes.
Each day as it comes.
Because we don't know how it's going to run.
Indeed. So, guys, we just want to quickly check levels. Can you guys hear us? Just give us thumbs up. Because generally we kind of take about a couple of minutes just to check that sound and everything is good. Those of you on Facebook and YouTube as well, please let us know if you have got good sound.
Good to see you on here, Kyle.
Thumbs up if you can hear.
That's good.
Fabulous.
So Ulrich's just going to go through and check that all is live and well with with Facebook and YouTube, just to make sure everything's good there. And then we're going to invite our special guest to join us on the Instagram, and then we're just going to go straight in. We have so many questions, and it's just exciting. It's really exciting. I've known our special guest for years, and it warms my heart to even be able to do something like this, because there's all kinds of stuff attached to it. But I'm going to try not to be sentimental, and we're going to try to stay focused on what we have to talk, because the thing is, this person, she's so special. Like, I could go and just start talking about a million and one things and we wouldn't even get to touch on the topic. So I need to really, really hone myself
Reel it in, girl.
Stay true to what we're going to talk about, because there's just so much.
Fabulous.
So I think we're all good.
Yeah.
Hey, Maureen, good to see you on Facebook.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Hi, Nick. How's it going?
Hey, honey, how's it going? It's good to see you on here.
Amazing.
Lovely. Okay, guys, so we are going to invite our special guest to join us. And Okay, so let's try to make sure we've got no more feedback going on. Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
we
can hear you.
can.
Lovely. Now, is there
Just a second.
anyone who is getting, any feedback or any disturbances? Can everyone hear everyone okay? Any thumbs up? Put thumbs up in the chat. Let's see that we're good to go.
I can see that.
Yeah, well, we can hear you, and
So
that's
that's
fine.
good.
Like,
Yeah,
Okay.
we can.
okay, so we're going to keep it rolling, and then as we go, not anymore. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kyle. So, yeah, great
Cool.
start.
So let's kick this off. Good
Can you
evening,
still hear
everybody.
me okay? Because I've just swapped.
Yes,
Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you.
yeah, we
Okay.
can
We can
hear
hear
you.
you all good.
Lovely.
Good evening, everybody. Hope you guys are well. Welcome to Two Love Collective. My name is Oric, for those of you that don't know.
And I'm Siobhan.
And this segment that we're doing today is called Divorce is Not an Option.
Or divorce is not an option?
So we've been dealing with this for about 7 or 8
Yeah.
weeks. And we've really been talking about, just all the different types of effects of divorce, what it is, what it means, because it's a very crucial part of the relationship journey.
Yeah.
That many people don't really focus on very much.
Yeah.
So we decided we were gonna, take the plunge, because it's a very controversial topic.
It is.
And a very sensitive one as well. So we've been very, very careful in how we've kind of approached it and how we've kind of dealt with a lot of the topics that we've spoken about over the past 6 or 7 weeks. But today, we decided to get some help in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let Siobhan introduce her. But it's going to be an awesome time. The topic we're going to be talking about today is how divorce affects the family.
It's a tough one. It is a tough one. And it's the kind of thing that you can't even get a blanket experience, because one person's is completely different to another. So we're not even trying to say, right, well, this is how we're going to label everything the same to us or anything like that. But we are going to go to somebody who has been working in this field for a long time, and we need to get some answers. We need to understand what's going on.
Yes, we do.
Because one of the things is that our heart is passionate about speaking on relationships and marriage, and how to avoid getting to certain stages where it's the breakdown. And sometimes I think if we just think, well, you know what, everyone's doing it, let's just get this divorce. Actually, but then do we know what the repercussions of those actions are, and the effects that it has on the families that we're building, and the fallout? And really what we want to do is speak to a family law barrister, hello, to really discuss, okay, so what is this like? What do you see firsthand? Because you're in the best position, basically.
Absolutely.
So we have none other than Mrs. Arlene Small, who is a fantastic woman of God, and we've known her for a number of years. I've known her, I think, since I was 4 or 5 years old. So that is like, I'll give some testimonies another time, and you'll hear me keep dropping her name, and then you'll really understand the weight and the gravity of how much she has just shaped my life and who I am today. So I can't get into that, but really, really, I want to introduce to you Mrs. Arlene Small, who has joined us on Instagram and on Facebook and YouTube. So guys, put some thumbs up, give some chat, give her a wave, and let's get started for today. Arlene.
Hello. What an introduction. I'm thinking, who are they expecting? But yeah, no, thank you both for inviting me. It's quite surreal, actually, because as you already said, I've known you since we were about sort of 4 years old, and you kind of invaded the stage, shall we say. But I'll leave you to talk about that another occasion. So yeah, nice to see you both, you and Ulrich, and this is a great project that you're doing here. I'm really pleased to be a part of it. So well done, both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, hold it together. Okay, so our first question is, and to be honest, I've tried to keep to the questions, but we're just going to flow nice and freely. So the question is, tell us, what does a family law barrister do? What is that title? What does it entail?
Okay, so if we sort of break it down, most people have heard the word barrister before, and I think the easiest way to sort of explain it is if you think visually of, I don't know, whether it's EastEnders or Coronation Street or some other soap opera, when somebody goes to court, and normally it's a criminal court, and you think someone's done something or been accused of something, and normally along the front row you'll see a number of people wearing wigs and gowns, white wig, black gowns, white collar. That is the barrister, and the role of the barrister is to basically advocate or speak up for the person that they're representing. So that would be me. But in family law, we don't wear the wigs and the gowns because it's meant to be a bit more family friendly. I have got the wig and the gown, and if I'd have thought about it, I'd probably have brought it down and waved it in front of the camera. But in family law, because we're dealing with children, families and relationships and so on, we don't tend to wear the wigs and the gowns because it's seen as a bit, sort of puts a bit of distance between people. So basically, we just sort of dress, well, as I'm dressed sort of now. And we, as I say, we speak up for or represent people who are in situations concerning family. It could be, for example, a couple that are separating through divorce. It can sometimes be a couple who have to work out the arrangements for their children. Sometimes it means dealing with the local authority if there are concerns about a parent's care of a child or parent's care of children. Sometimes you have to get involved there. Sometimes it's to do with domestic violence, if someone's in a situation where they've got themselves into difficulties with a partner who is being abusive towards them and they need representation. So that's the barrister part and the family law part more or less combined.
Wow.
That's what I do.
Wow.
Like when you first started speaking, I wanted to go into some jokes and be like, so why did they wear the wigs and all of that stuff? But then as you got into it, it was getting so much deeper. I was like, no, we have to put that aside and get real serious, because it's crazy. Even as I'm like just hearing you speak now, I'm just thinking your phone must be popping off almost every other day right about now, because it's lockdown, and the amount of reports and information that we're hearing about people locked in with their abusers, with families that are breaking down because they've not had to spend this much time together, and actually they're finding out they had so many cracks in their relationships, they had difficulties in just working things out. So as much as I'm thinking of the funny side, I'm actually like, no, this is really serious. Really serious.
How has that been for you? Like,
I mean, you're absolutely right. It's interesting because on the one hand, yes, we've heard a lot in the news about people whose work has almost come to a halt or slowed down. But the legal profession has had to keep going because obviously the business of justice, has to be being done. And that's across all courts, whether that's the criminal, the civil or the family. And you're absolutely right. I mean, there was a period of time where the courts were just basically taking emergency hearings. So things where there were, somebody's life was being threatened or where child neglect was really, really high. And interesting enough, things like divorce was sort of pushed to the back burner. It was thought, well, that can kind of wait until we get the more serious and risky situations out of the way. So I wouldn't necessarily say that I've seen an increase of that in lockdown. I just think it's, as you've already said, it's kind of shone a light on what was already there and just exposed it more. I think people are finding this under one roof for a lot longer than they would normally be. Plus they've got their kids at home, plus homeschool.
I know, can you imagine?
That's a one piece of mix,
So much layers, man.
They're homeschooling as well, and the pressures, there's financial pressures, there's all kinds of pressures. So we are seeing a lot of cases coming through, So it's very, very, very busy. And you say my phone's, it's not every other day, it's literally every day. From sun up to sundown, you're dealing with something. So
that's intense.
Wow.
So a bit of a personal question then. So what kind of made you decide to get into this field in the first place? Because it's not an easy one.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know, like, how do you kind of, why did you decide to get into it?
It's really odd because I didn't decide to get into it. When I first qualified, which was over 20 years ago now, my first aim was to do criminal law. I was going to, you know, fight miscarriages of justice and, you know, right the wrongs and, you know, set the captives free and all this sort of stuff. You know, I was really gung-ho. And I remember when you first qualify, most people get into what's called a mixed set of chambers, which is basically where all the barristers hang out and where we, you know, get our cases and do our work and do our prep and what have you. And in order to qualify, you have to do a period of almost like work experience called pupillage. Yeah. And you need to do 12 months of it minimum in order to qualify. And so my first spot was with a family barrister. And I was just like, oh, really? A family? Oh, I'm going to end up like a social worker, you know, dealing with people's problems. That's not why I wanted to come into law. I wanted to be a real, you know, lawyer. And I was just like, oh, but the lady that I was shadowing, they used to call them pupil masters and pupil mistresses. There's a lot of traditional around the bar. They call them pupil supervisors now to make it a bit more PC. But at the time, I mean, this woman was just amazing. She was cool, she was calm, she was collected. She would go in there and she would just be like, Shazam. And then all of a sudden, you know, family situations would be resolved. She was an amazing advocate. I mean, I was just so in awe of her. And she kept saying to me, you really should think about family law. You really should think about family law. Wow. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, you know, what's happened? Because I'm there dying to, like I'm saying, you know, overturn miscarriages of justice and all that sort of stuff. So it was a real shock when I found myself just drawn to what she was saying, so much so that when I actually started my second 6 months of training, and that was in a criminal set, I felt quite frustrated because unfortunately the thing about criminal law is, I mean, literally there are lots of criminal, I know it sounds a bit odd, but there are lots of criminals in crime who actually like, you know, they like doing what they're doing. They what they want really is just for you to kind of get them bail, get them off, and then they can just carry on. There isn't a lot of rehabilitation going on, you know what I mean? And there aren't many miscarriages of justice. A lot of times it's people just get caught doing what they shouldn't get caught doing what they shouldn't be doing. And I just found that really disappointing. I felt like I couldn't really make a difference or impact. Maybe there were maybe 1 or 2 cases where that happened, but on the whole, you know, it was people, I mean, literally people saying to me, can't you just get me out? Can't you just get me off? What, you're not helping me. You're not, you know, and have you brought cigarettes? You know, things like that. I mean, I'm talking 20 years ago, so maybe things have changed, but it was a real letdown for me being in the criminal justice system. And so my eyes wandered over to family. And so when you say, how did I decide? Well, it's a very good question.
You were led, like, you know, led to the right
exactly. Path. It's a very good question.
Amazing.
Still haven't worked it out yet.
And you know, it's crazy because I just think, like, it's for us, we know you as Christian, church, so on and so on. But then for other people, they're not meeting that side of you. They're just meeting you as their barrister. But then I think that unbeknown to them, their case is being handled by someone who is in Christ. And it's just like that. I guess in my head, I'm kind of seeing it as the unseen, the unspoken, like the extra support that they're getting in this difficult, what must be a touch and go situation where it could go any way, really and truly. And I just think, I guess it leads on to our next question,
which is the main one.
The main question: how does divorce affect families? Really, what would you say?
You know, there are absolutely no winners. When people say, sometimes people say, who won the case? I want to say nobody won, because no matter how you go in, no matter how much you think, okay, these are the things I want to achieve, nobody comes away with, what it is they think they're going to get. And even when they come away from a divorce situation, and even when they've got, a lot of what they want, it changes people. The process changes people. I mean, I have to say the system in terms of the courts, they try really hard to give people opportunities all along the way to resolve things without coming to court. There's mediation, there's what's called arbitration, there's something called collaborative lawyering, where, you sit around the table and try and sort things out. And really, coming to court is an absolute last resort. And anybody that thinks that divorce lawyers or family lawyers kind of, do that kind of hop, skip and a jump as they're going down the court, it's nonsense. No human being takes pleasure in seeing people going through that kind of pain and that kind of hurt, So when I hear these, sometimes I hear the news and they say, the only people benefiting are the lawyers. We take no pleasure in that. And a lot of the times they're only with us because they've tried everything else and it hasn't worked out. And then they think, okay, we'll have to go, we'll go to court. And in fact, if people actually knew that a lot of times when things come to court, it's after years, people don't wake up and go, I know what I'll do next week. I think I'll get a divorce. This has sometimes been years and years of try and wrestling and so on. So the effect on families, by the time they come to us, a lot of families are crushed, and they're broken, and their children are broken, and sometimes extended family as well who may have got involved, grandparents sometimes. Parents are not seeing children because one parent's moved out. So the effect is really devastating. And the other thing as well, when people say divorce, there are sort of 3 levels really. So the bit where you say I do and they sign, that's your contract, your marriage contract. So you have a process to undo that, so you're no longer the Mr. and Mrs. element. But that doesn't deal with things like where you're going to live, how you're going to live, what's going to happen to the furniture, what about cars on the drive, what about that? Doesn't deal with that part. There's a whole nother process that deals with the money, and then there's a whole nother process that deals with the children. So you could end up going to court, for 3 different things. If you don't sort of, if you're not careful, you'll end up going to court for those 3 different aspects of the divorce. And every layer, takes something away from people. And the way that I see my role is that I want to make that process as, it's not going to be pain-free. It never is. Anyone that says it's going to be pain-free,
lying.
Not being honest. But you want to limit that pain, if you like. You want to, at each stage, just actually help that person navigate through. So I don't say to people, you should divorce. Even in my own personal, relationship, I never say to anybody, you should divorce or you should stay. It's when they've come to that place themselves, normally with their family, friends and other support, when they've come to that place themselves, then they might come to somebody like me to work out the legal logistics of that. And that's my role. So what I see, like I'm saying, by the time they come is, the family has been splintered. People are in pain and hurt. And sometimes as well, there's a lot of things that have not been said as part of the breakdown of the relationship. People think by coming to court, they can say them there. I have to explain to them that's not what this process is about. It's not about you, getting another opportunity to tell your ex what they should have done right, and tell you should have. I'm going to show you. If you're going into it like that's not what the court. And very often people are quite disappointed when you think it's the lawyers that are vamping it up. A lot of times it's again, it's people's own hurt and pain They want you to do something. They want you to get in there and suck it to the other side. But that's not what we're about. You know, we're not about making the situation worse for people who are already, you know, going through that difficulty. So yeah, there is a lot of there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of frustration as well that you, as an advocate, I have to manage. So when a client says to me, I want you to go in there and I want you to tell them that if they don't do, then I'm going to do, and we're all going to do. I say, no, we're not doing that. Right? Yeah. I understand what you want to say. This is the best way to try and achieve what it is you want. Yeah, you know, but I mean, don't get me wrong. I give advice. But the process, I give advice, but I take instructions. If a client is absolutely adamant that they want, you know, something said or done, I will say it in a way that is appropriate for the court arena. You can't go in there sort of, you know, buck wild and say whatever's in your head. You've got to still be professional and, you know, focus and everything else. Yeah. So I will do all of that, but I try and encourage people to just think long term rather than just getting everything off their chest in that moment.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is so powerful. So have you found, like, have you ever worked with a client who maybe has come in, because you mentioned, you kind of answered one of our questions, which is like how long is kind of the process, but have you ever found a situation where somebody has come in adamant that this is something that they wanted to do, but then found themselves kind of thinking, maybe not. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? Or maybe, you know, I mean, I don't know how far your role goes in terms of, you know, being a barrister, but have you ever had to speak to somebody and almost like counsel them to say, you know, are you sure that this is kind of what you want to do? Yeah. Or maybe you sense that they're not quite 100% on their decision.
One party doesn't want it to happen, exactly. And then another party, you're like, are you sure you can't work this out? Because this person, they really don't want to go down this road.
Yeah, no, I mean, like anything, I mean, you know, you have to be really clear about the lines. And so again, it's not, I would never, even if someone said, I'm not sure, I'm really not sure, or I sense that they weren't sure, the most that I would probably say is, look, you don't have to decide it in front of me. Why don't you take some time and talk to your circle or talk to your family or, you know, what have you. You know, I know that there's a perception that because I'm a Christian barrister that I might be, you know, leading people in prayer and holding their hands together and getting the oil out, you know, but, you know, you know, and kind of calling the elders and...
The person did not pray over your burger before they served you in McDonald's. They didn't say the grace.
Well, this is the thing. You know, can you imagine? You just think, right, you know, in Jesus' name, you know, just slap them in the head and they fall over and, you know, and all that sort of No, we're not doing that. I was thinking actually today, because I thought this might come up. There's an organisation called CAP, which are Christians Against Poverty. I don't know if you've heard of them. And Martin Lewis, who does the Money Show, is slightly off kilter, but I'll explain the context. He does the Money Show and he talks about people that get into debt and what have you. And he has a list of people that he recommends for debt management and debt advice. And he puts down CAP. He lists CAP along with Step Change, everything else. And, you know, obviously he's in the sort of secular world, if you like. And he says, Christians Against Poverty, it's why they do it, not what they do. And the point he's making is he just wants people to know that, look, this is a professional organization. Yes, they have the heart of Christians, which is why they're motivated to help people, but they're not going to be indoctrinating you or trying to convert you or sign you up for their church. And I think that's a really, to hear someone, if you like, in the secular industry saying that, I think that's a model I think that most of us, you know, probably live by. I mean, as you say, when you go to McDonald's, people don't start blessing your food before they hand over your fries and all that sort of thing. You know, that doesn't happen. And similarly, when I'm at work. That doesn't mean to say that when I'm at home, I don't pray about my work. I pray for my clients. I pray ultimately for God's will to be done in the situation. And I never want to be the kind of lawyer that is able to persuade the court to do something which is really not in the interest of anybody, just because I can. You know, I've always been a talker. I've always been someone that can kind of, I've got, you know, can have a way with words, but that's not what, I'm not there to be slick and, you know, and slimy. I'm just there to present, you know, present that case. So my role as a Christian, as I say, yes, they're not going to get anything underhanded from me. I conduct myself with integrity. I want to make sure that what I do, whatever I say and whatever I do, you know, it's not something that I'm going to think, oh, if somebody found out, what would I, you know? And I know, again, lawyers have that reputation. We have a reputation for being, you know, underhanded. But I'm pleased to say that the majority of people that I've met in my profession, that's not the case. You know, most of us are, you know, doing our best to walk upright, as it were, even, you know, Christians and non-Christians, as it were, because we have a professional body that we have to answer to. So yeah, the Christian element is there, but it's not, you know, as I said, it's not the driving force when I'm actually in court. You know, like I said, I don't call prayer meetings at court. Although, having said that, there was one occasion where, can you imagine? There's one occasion where a client asked me, she'd Googled me, and I have some connections with the Evangelical Alliance and various other Christian organizations, and she'd Googled me, and she knew that I was a Christian, and she asked specifically if she could pray. And I said, of course, and I was quite happy for her to pray. She wanted to pray before we went into court. And she led that. That was her, and I, you know, was there respectfully, you know, letting that before we went into court. So if that happens, then fine. But ultimately, like I'm saying, when people come to me, they come because they want my legal expertise. You know, they'll have their pastors, they'll have their sisters.
Yeah, true.
Church, they'll have their elders where they want to see things happening, you know, legally. You know, so yeah.
It's powerful. Very powerful. Wow. I love what you've shared, and I also love the fact that so many times I think we can get so drawn in by what the TV and the media says and the courtrooms, and you watch these TV shows like Suits and The Good Wife or whatever it is, and you see these people, oh, this family law, this court and that court, and it just hypes it. But actually, let's be real, these are families that are having to go through one of their most painful experiences in front of people who they don't know, or some strangers. Like, this is not, nobody wants to be in this situation where the people see at your worst, at your hurtest, if that's even a word. But, you know, like when you're hurting the most, I guess you want the most support. You want somebody who's going to be as empathetic and understanding as possible. I thank God that He has placed you in that position, because regardless of them asking for it or not asking for it, because you are a carrier of the Spirit of God, they get it. They get Him in that room with them, whether they want it or not, just to be that ounce of peace, to be that ounce of support. And I just think, you know, like, people, like, when they think about divorce, they just think about some of the negatives of it, but they don't think, you know, that's where some people are at their lowest. And actually, they need somebody to be as supportive or empathetic as possible, really.
I mean, people are at their most vulnerable at that point as well. I was just going to say that people are at their most vulnerable at that point. I mean, you know, I get to get in people's business, as it were, and I don't even know them personally. And I see, you know, as you said, you see people at their most hurt, at their worst, at their most vulnerable, and they have to expose that. I mean, I'm always in awe when I go to court and somebody's sharing like their deepest, you know, thoughts with me about their relationship, because I need that information to represent them accurately. And I just think I know that God has placed me here. I know for a fact that there's a reason why I'm in this profession, and I don't take that responsibility lightly at all. So sorry, Ulrich, I cut you off, didn't I?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Please feel free. So what would you say in your experience is like the number one reason for divorce? Because this is a big question. Like, I've researched this in the States, in the UK, and we have our own personal answer to it. You know what I mean? But just coming from your experience working in this field for some decades now, like what would you say is like the number one reason why people get a divorce?
Okay, I think, and I'm not trying to cop out, there really isn't sort of one solid answer.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Top three. I mean, not even that, but the thing I was going to say that sort of flows through all the cases that I do is lack of communication. And because what tends to happen is there will be an issue, and it might be financial, it might be to do with their interpersonal relationship, it might be to do with parenting of the children, it might be to do with, you know, anything really. But what happens is that individuals don't talk about that thing, you know, and sometimes it's because they don't know how to. Other times it's because people don't always have that capacity to self-reflect and think, oh, this person's brought this to me, I need to weigh it up and find out if it's a valid issue, and therefore I might need to make an adjustment in my behavior. But what normally kicks in is, what do you mean I've done this? You know, what about the time when you did And so instead of actually focusing on the thing that, you know, the person's brought to the other partner or the other husband or wife or what have you, then they start, it sort of escalates. So then the other person will think, well, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. So going back to what I said earlier about the three, the levels of divorce. So the actual divorce part, the bit where you undo the I do, you have to file what's called a divorce petition. And in the divorce petition, you have to name or list the things that you say the person has done that has now led you to the point where the marriage has broken down and is irretrievable. So you have to spell that out. There's a campaign going that people want no fault divorces so that no one has to say anything. But we're not there. But we're not there yet. So at the moment we have this divorce petition, and when you read those divorce petitions, 9 times out of 10, the issues that are raised there, they can all be traced back to communication. So somebody will say, you know, oh, he doesn't show me affection anymore. I'm thinking, okay, so if you think about that, what is affection? It's a way of communicating your love to that person. So that's broken down. Or it will be something like, he refuses to acknowledge the fact that I've got this medical issue and I need to, he refuses to acknowledge my medical issue. And that's, you took it to your son. It's all right, Ulrich. And as a result, I've had to sort of fend for myself. I had to take myself to the hospital. I have had to go to all the appointments by myself, and I'm suffering, you know. And again, it's lack of communication. Did you communicate to the person that you wanted that additional support? Or I found out that, you know, he had a gambling issue, or he's been spending money and so on and so forth. I didn't know about it. You know, again, it's lack of communication, because these are all the things that, you know, when you do your premarital counselling, that they say, oh, you must communicate. I mean, we had Pastor Joel, for those that know, Pastor Joel Edwards as our counsellor, and he just said, marriage is about communication on 3 levels: the head, the heart, and the body. And if any of those areas are dysfunctional, your marriage is you're not gonna make it. And when I look at these divorce petitions, that's what I see. I see breakdown of communication in terms of, you know, people understanding each other, the heart, and then the whole physical side of things has, you know, come to a halt. You know, oh, he doesn't kiss me, he's not affectionate, she doesn't touch me, you know, all of that sort of stuff. And so that's what you find. So if I think about what is the main reason why couples go their separate way, it is that it's a complete breakdown in communication. You know, it's like a cliche, but that is the reality. I mean, you know, we can all think of those times. I mean, this year I'll have been married 25 years, and I can think of, exactly. clinging on. And now I'm joking. And I can think of so many times when, you know, my husband has, you know, got on my last nerve. And the temptation is just to not talk. You just think, that's it. I've talked, you know, the shutters come down, the shop is closed, you throw the key out, you know, all that sort of stuff. That is the temptation. And so but I actually think, and I said this when I first qualified actually, or when I decided I was going to family law, I think there should be a session in premarital counselling with a divorce, somebody who deals with divorce. You know, I'm telling you, if they did field trips to the divorce court, right, as part of premarital counselling, I sometimes wonder, because I can tell you now, it frightens the hell out of me.
Listen, yeah, I'm so glad that you just said that, because even when we were preparing for tonight, we were saying, okay, so what, because every time we're about to have a live, we're like, what's our angle? What is our angle? And honestly, like everything that we've been doing with this topic is to show people, particularly people who are about to get into relationships, so that they understand how detrimental it is to not focus on communication, not focus on purpose, why you're together, being friends, not being concerned about, you know, the senses and all of that kind of stuff, and the things that feel good and taste good and look good and, you know, sound good. But what can you guys just be in a room together and just bust joke? Do you know what I mean? Because coronavirus is testing that.
All of that.
It's testing our communication. It's testing our ability to just hang and just be friends. And if that foundation hasn't been built,
then everything else comes. And I think I love what you suggested there about that, because I think people, they kind of say, well, we're not going to be there. We're not going to do that. And it's like, no, actually,
don't be ignorant.
That doesn't mean that you fail to fireproof this area. Just because you don't think you're going to go down this way doesn't mean that you now say, okay, well, I'm going to avoid anything to do with it. You've got to now actually find out about this area, what leads to that, so that you can now say, okay, these are the precautionary measures to make sure, you know, I'm not going to get into this situation. Like, if I know I'm going to have a problem with being late, then I need to do something to put in place that I'm not going to find myself in that position. So maybe it's going to be a plan where I leave earlier, or there's going to be, so I'll check the traffic on the road, or have I ironed my clothes in advance, or have I, you know, like you put measures in place. And I think so often people are not putting a measure in place to not end up in the divorce court.
Absolutely. They're not safeguarding. They're not safeguarding.
Or you get the other way where they're safeguarding, but in a different way, where they're saying, well, I want a prenup.
Oh, Jesus.
And you're just like,
let me just, I'm glad you said that word, because I just want to say,
talk about it.
No, I was going to say, there's a lot of stuff on television, right, that makes people kind of think things. The two big ones are common law wife and common law husband, right? I don't know if you've heard that phrase before, where people have basically lived together. And I appreciate we're Christians, but, you know, I don't know who's watching. There could be other people, where people live together for a very, very long period of time, sometimes 20 years, 30 years, but they don't marry. And then they separate, and they think that they have the same sort of role, you know, rights as married people. I'm just going to say my Zoom's gone off. I don't know about your one.
Oh, no.
No, ours is good.
Yeah, we're still here.
Okay, I'm not sure why, but mine's gone off. So do I need to?
We can still see you there.
Yeah, just keep going.
Okay. All right. So so people say, oh, but I'm the common law wife. I'm the common law husband. There is no such thing anymore. You're either a wife
or you're not.
Come on.
Or a husband, or you're not. There's no kind of, so people that are sitting thinking, well, I'll be all right, you know, if something goes wrong, because I can, you know, use all the laws that are available to married couples. The answer's no, you can't. And the second thing is prenups, right? Prenups are an American concept, right? We do not have in this country a law surrounding prenups. If you write something, if you write something down that says this is what you want to happen when you're divorced, that's fine. You can do that. You know, people can do that. But bear in mind that you could get to that divorce court. The judge isn't going to look at that and say, all right, we've got a prenup, that's what we'll do. He's still going to look at all, he or she, I should say, because we've got female judges as well, are going to look at all the circumstances of that marriage. That prenup will just fall in line with everything else they've got to look at. what are people's earning capacity, what do the children need, what what houses do you have, what's in the bank account. So they'll just line that up alongside. So there'll just be like a conveyor belt of things that there's like a checklist, I should say, rather than conveyor. There's a checklist of things that the court looks at, and any kind of agreement is a part of that process. It's not right, that's it, we've got that, and everything else falls away. So just people that are writing things down, writing big bold letters, there is no such thing. No, actually, that's not true. There is such a thing as a prenup, but there isn't a piece of paper that will safeguard you against everything else happening if you sadly have to separate from your spouse.
That's crazy. I did not know that. Yeah. So is that like UK and like England?
Yeah, basically United Kingdom.
So what do the wealthy people do?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. They can write things down. Nobody's going to stop you writing it down. But I mean, I'll give you a scenario, just to kind of give you the context. So let's just say, you are that wealthy person, and you write down that everything you brought into the marriage is yours. The house is yours, the cars are yours, everything, the bank account is yours. But you give a small allowance or whatever to the other partner. I'm not going to say husband or wife, because it could be either.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, could be the wife with the money or whoever, right? but at the point where you separate, that wife has no employment prospects, or husband has no employment prospects, because they've either been unwell, or they've taken time out if it's a woman to have children, or they've been a homemaker for a long time, and so their qualifications are out of date. So basically, by the time you look at the point of separation, their needs might have changed. So when they met you, they might have been young and vibrant and going places. By the time you come to separate or divorce, maybe circumstances have changed that person. So the judge will say, okay, well, you said that he or she is entitled to, I don't know, X. But looking at what they need now that we see them 20 years later, they actually need X and Y. So what I'm going to do, you're giving them X, but I'm going to take the Y from you and give that to them so that they can actually, get on with their life and so on. So that tends to be a bit of a shock for people. When I have to explain that to people, that the needs of a person can sometimes overtake everything that's been agreed. You might say, well, I bought everything and I paid the mortgage and I've done but if there is a greater need that can only be met by sharing everything that you have, then that's what.
Wow.
Yeah. So prenups.
Amazing.
Prenups are not a marriage wand, not a magic wand, I should say.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, not a magic wand.
That's so fantastic, because we met with some friends recently, and we were sitting down and they were saying to us, okay guys, so what would you say, what topic do you want to cover but you're afraid to cover? And we were like, prenups. We don't know how we would go into that.
How would we even start?
Like, it's so deep. How do you say to someone, I don't think you should have a prenup, because technically it's like a preparation for it to fail, but then at the same time, people get car insurance all the time, and you get car insurance in the event that something terrible happens. You're not hoping that something will happen, but you still need the insurance.
Just in case.
I get it. I get the concept behind it, but I don't agree with it, kind of thing. We were like, that's why we would not like to cover the topic. But now that you cleared it up, it's like,
hey, let's go live. Let's do it, guys. Arlene Small said.
But you know what I love as well? And I don't know if the reason why the law over here is different.
Yeah.
But I guess when I think about it, we just thinking back to why the prenup doesn't work the way that it works in the States. We have a queen, and she's governed by the church. And so with that, I'm assuming the laws of this land will be different to the laws of the state. Cool. Whereas the democracy and all that kind of stuff. So the fact now that the judge can take into consideration and preside over now what decision is made across what the person needs,
my God,
rather than a contract. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to stand to that contract, but then break the contract that you made to be married in the first place, then it means contracts can be broken. You're okay to undo your I do. So then why not undo your prenup and
undo
go with
your
what
I do? That has just messed me up tonight. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I
do. Oh, you know that's gonna be a hashtag. Oh my god. Don't undo your.
Undo your ID.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, that's so good.
Love. Thank you so much. Okay, we've got 10 more minutes left.
Okay.
There's so much more. So I'm gonna hold it down.
Yeah, hold it down. Hold it
if
down.
anything, I think we might have to invite you back again to cover another set of topics, because as you were speaking, so many other things started coming up.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot that people don't understand.
Exactly. But what I do want to say is thank you so much, Arlene, for just shedding so much light on so many areas. I had no idea that divorce looked at so many different areas and the processes and things like that. And we're not encouraging divorce, but what we do want to say is Arlene Small is a family law barrister, and if any of you need any help or any support, any legal matters or attention that you need help with, please do reach out to her. You can find her handle.
Or reach out to us and we'll connect you.
Yeah, and we'll connect you, or give you her DM details, so you can send her your information and you can speak privately with her. But one thing I love is that you don't just cover divorce. It is family law. So you were talking about parents separating. I know that we did some work with a 50 flexitarian, and they were sharing about the process of who decided the child goes with the mother and the father and all of those things there. So I just want to say this to anybody who's watching right now or on the rebroadcast. If you are looking for someone to reach out to, if you are uncertain, you need some support, we are signposting you to a proper sound individual, a barrister of the law, and she will tell you like it is. This is Arlene Small. Please do feel free to reach out to her. Arlene, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor and a privilege, honestly. And it's been even though it's a sensitive and a difficult topic, it's been fun to just talk about it with you guys. So
okay. So
do I wave now?
I have one more question.
Oh, do you? Okay.
On a light note, do you watch any law shows?
All the time. It's so bad. All the time.
Because you know what? The reason I'm asking the question is because sometimes I don't know like how real it is.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And whether actually, because obviously I know some of the terminologies and stuff that they use and stuff, but so which ones do you watch?
Oh my gosh, what don't I watch? I watch Law and Order, all of them. Law and Order UK, Law and Order Criminal Intent, Law and Order, Law and Order this and that. I watch them all. I love things like Columbo. I watch Judge Judy, of course. Absolutely love watching Judge Judy. She's just my girl. And but yeah, I mean there's so probably Suits I watch as well. The Good Wife I watched as well. But I mean, majority of these ones obviously are American, and you know, some of the stuff that we have here, we had like Judge Rinder, and I know a lot of people don't really like that format, but again, I will sit and watch that just for the process really, because I just like how things are sort of worked out. But yes, there is an element of, you know, drama and dramatics and so on and things like that. I love A Few Good Men, you know, You Can't Handle the Truth. I mean, all of that is a thing that I'll watch that over and over and over. You know, all of anything that's got a courtroom scene in it. But it's quite interesting because years ago I was asked to help somebody who wanted to do a drama about and include a scene in court. And they were like, oh, so what shall we, you know, what do we say? What do we do? So they said, oh, you know, if you want to stand up, do they say objection, overruled, sustained? I was like, no, we don't. That's America. We don't do that there. So if your opponent is saying something and you want to not interrupt, but you want to make a point while they're talking, you just simply rise to your feet. Nothing is said. It's just everybody knows. This person stood up, the other person kind of hangs back, and the judge looks at you, and then you address them. And the person goes, oh, no, we don't want that. That's too important. No. And they, you know, they did all the whole objection, sustained, overruled. And I thought, this is nonsense, because it doesn't happen like that. But because our system is quite, you know, calm and serene, you know, that wasn't enough. They wanted to kind of, you can't handle the truth moment. So I just let him get on with it. I'd give him money. I told him, what can I do? I told you what's supposed to happen. You don't want to do that, you know. So yes, the short answer is, yeah, it wasn't exciting enough. But yes, I watch all the legal dramas, everything that's got a courtroom scene. It's my guilty pleasure, because a lot of the things that happen, like even, you know, walking up to the witness when they're giving evidence, you know, we don't do that here. You know, dramatic pacing up and down past the jury, throwing papers, drinking water loudly to throw your opponent off. You know, we don't do all that here. So I watch that and think, oh, if only, you know. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh my God.
So yeah, that's my guilty pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Arlene. You've been incredible. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We love to have you here on our show, and we thank God for your life and what you're doing in the lives of others. It's amazing.
Thank you very much.
So guys, thank you guys for tuning in, all of you on Instagram and on YouTube and Facebook. Again, we've been talking about how does divorce affect the family, and you've been hearing Arlene Small, who is a family law barrister. Again, like we said a couple of minutes ago, if you do need any kind of help, legal help, please reach out to us and we'll signpost you to her so that she can, you know, help you out in whichever way. But guys, thank you so much. We hope that you've enjoyed you know, what we talked about today, and, you know, taken something from it. Because I know I have. I've learned so much tonight. And it's just given me that same passion. It's just reignited the passion to keep doing what we're doing, because it's so important that we get our communication locked in, guys. Communication. To all of you guys who we speak to on an individual basis, communication. It's so key, bro.
But we'll be coming back to you about the whole premarital counseling.
Listen, right?
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
All right, guys. See you later, Instagram. See you later, Facebook and the YouTube. Thank you guys for joining. Arlene, just hang tight one sec.
Okay. All right.